Welcome to Business Authority Radio, bringing you insights from today's thought leaders, professionals, and influencers. With your hosts, Neil Howe and Craig Williams.
Welcome to another episode of Business Authority Radio. I have the honor and pleasure to introduce to you all today Dr. Di Vagno, President and owner of Alpharetta Back and Neck Center. Jay, you've been going at this for quite a long time. This week actually marks the 122nd year of chiropractic care serving humanity. And you've got, close to half of that? No, no, but you've taken a big chunk out of that. So you've been a great contributor to this profession and industry. And it's definitely a science that I believe in and have used as far as lifestyle. Tell me a little bit about how you have got into this life's work.
Well, thanks for having me on your show today, Craig. I really appreciate it. Years ago, my dad suffered with migraine headaches. And I can remember as a little kid coming home from school in the afternoons, and my mom would say, "Shh, your dad's got one of those headaches." And finally, a good friend of his told him about a chiropractor in the town where we grew up, which was Fort Pierce, Florida. And so the friend encouraged my dad to go see the chiropractor. And back then, chiropractors, what's a chiropractor?
Yeah.
Charlatans and everything. But so he had nothing to lose and everything to gain. And he finally went to see this gentleman. And after probably a month of treatment, my dad's headaches had almost been eliminated. And to see that effect that he had on my dad as a chiropractor really impressed me. When I went off to college, I thought I was going to study engineering. And after about 6 months of that, I decided, that's not my cup of tea. And through conversation with this chiropractor, he encouraged me to look at it as a profession. So I did, and at that point is when I changed my major in college and decided to pursue the practice of chiropractic.
So this was actually you experiencing what someone else close to you that meant a lot to you,
Absolutely.
Their experience, as opposed to you going and having the hands-on yourself.
Absolutely.
Wow. That is true. That's true inspiration for a profession. It's very practical, and I often wonder why the practical, the reasonable things in life aren't embraced as much. I mean, this is a hands-on for the most part. Hands-on. It's the human touch.
It's unknown.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. And for some reason, we would rather have someone cut on us or give us that magic dose of something, as opposed to just really know the body. What have you found to be very practical that you were aware of or had some knowledge of? Because listening to, here you have your father having a headache. He goes and gets an adjustment. I assume it was adjustment or some type of treatment. And all of a sudden, just like that, there was, you couldn't put your finger probably exactly on how that happened, but the body it was his body. He takes his body. We take our bodies everywhere. And to not consider that us being manufactured, there must be a great manufacturer that has designed us in a way that a lot of the answers are there, and we're not going to get deep in this conversation, but I do want to, what has been very practical that you have seen in this profession that it was like an aha moment? What was that epiphany that you had when you were learning about the body, but then it was that hands-on that really clicked for you? What was that?
Well, it was interesting. When I was in college and starting to learn about the philosophy, the science behind chiropractic, being allopathic oriented, we're brought into this world in a hospital setting, and that's all we know is allopathic medicine. So when I was in school and hearing all of these different stories, it was like a real conflict of my education. But I was open-minded, and wanted to listen and hear the story, and then just start seeing the various experiences that occurred in the chiropractic realm. When I was younger, I played high school football, ended up having a stinger in my neck and had a stiff neck for 3 weeks. Well, back then, no one wanted to tell me about a chiropractor. Well, when I was in chiropractic school, I woke up one morning with a stiff neck, what's called torticollis, started getting adjusted, and within 5 days it was gone.
Wow.
So from a personal experience, I was sold at that point. And I was an early quarter student at that point in chiropractic school.
Wow. So the word was allopathic?
Allopathic.
Okay, because I'm glad you said it and not I. But you said we were born in that environment. But that environment that we were born in, it was so much practicality. Yes, there may have been some, quote, drugs and different methodologies of birthing, but it's all practical. I've been to 4 of those, at least in my life, outside of the one I was a part of, being born, but my 4 daughters. And there's not to watching it. It wasn't medication. It was something natural happening, and it was going to happen whether we wanted it to or not.
Absolutely.
So it was just it was an environment, like you said, it's more of an environment we're familiar with, and we associate the cure or the procedure of dealing with a product, a pain or something that's associated with that place. But it was a natural, reasonable, practical happening. And when I've gone to a chiropractor, it's as simple as that. I lay down. It's it's a different type of bed that I may lay down on, but there's no needles or there's no intrusion into my body. It's just working with my body and allowing my body to be in position to heal or itself, in essence.
That's right. I mean, that is the premise of chiropractic. The power that made the body heals the body. The body just doesn't need interference. And when there's interference, then the body cannot be at its optimal health, what we call its homeostasis.
Yes. So you didn't get into of course it sounded like pain, which your father's headache, was part of the inspiration of him. Not so much a cure, but it was the problem was solved.
It changed his life.
It changed his life. Transformation happened, and you can't argue with transformation.
He was a businessman. It was starting to interfere with him being able to operate his own business because of these headaches being so debilitating. And migraines are not a very common thing with men as they are with females. But, to come home and have your mom say, shh, keep it down. Your dad's got one of those headaches.
Yeah. I mean, that would. You remember that to this day.
Oh, absolutely.
It's almost like you could put yourself back at that time.
Yes.
So you didn't get into it for just the pain, but also the health aspects.
That's what really got me excited. And if you look at chiropractors across the board, one of the silver threads that you will see, a lot of them have a athletic background, if you will. So we have that athletic or that natural, understanding of what we want to do and do it without drugs and so forth. And so to be able to see how the power of the body can heal the body just really interested me quite a bit. And here I am, almost 60 years old. I'm on no medications.
Looking great.
Thanks.
Looking great,
and you are too, by the way. And, and when you look at today's statistics, seniors 65 and older on average are on 9 different medications a day. 10 years ago, it was only 3 medications. And
that's more. I'm glad you brought that up too, because in chiropractic care, and you mentioned about having a fitness background or athletic background,
correct,
which involves more fitness. And there's a difference between health and fitness, as we understand fitness is that movement, being able to move. So you're used to moving, and central to your body is your vertebrae.
Your nervous system.
Yeah, your nervous system and the vertebrae that protects that nervous system. And that's foundational. I mean, it's just like, it's ironic that we don't spend enough on our feet and our back, and that's where we spend most of our time.
Yes.
The investment in what we walk in and what we lay on when we rest, and that is the foundation. And you talked about the medication. Most of those medications aren't for movement.
No.
It's more of a health piece as opposed to the fitness piece. And we really desire, whether we know it or not, to be fit and healthy. Not in the sense of a certain size, but being able to move. We were created to move about this world and do and be, and foundationally and fundamentally, chiropractic care is really the lifeblood of humanity to keep us moving so we can continue to move forward as we evolve, But it's not enough attention, it seems, on that as it is to the health side.
Agreed. I've partnered with a senior citizen center near my office, and 75% of the day, what do you think those people do? They sit. They sit.
Sedentary, yeah.
And so when I go over there and do talks with the group, we'll do things on balance, because balance is so key as we get older, because the number one injury at home as we get older are falls. So a simple test of putting one foot in front of the other, like you're walking a tightrope, and do that for 30 seconds with each foot in front of the other. How many do you think could do that? Not one of them.
Wow.
And then to give them an exercise to do and then come back in 30 days and see how those individuals have progressed really is meaningful.
So it's not the end just because you haven't. A sedentary lifestyle does not determine that you'll be there. It's just harder to get out of. It's a comfort zone.
Well, sedentary will lead us to very poor health and health complications. So as you said, movement is the key. And today's golden standard are walk or move 30 minutes a day, 5 times a week.
Wow. I mean, that's been something that has innately been in my subconscious mind, the movement. And I think that's what has kept me, I don't get to work out as much, but it's the basis of how I treat my body as far as movement that keeps me. Even, your physical body affects your mental body or your mental self.
Vice versa.
Yeah, and vice versa. And you just said that as far as the health, it's easier, and not to poke, the finger at the medical field. I was being a firefighter and a EMT, studying, dealing with the health side for a bit. There was still that part where you had to still move. That was still foundational to your healing. No matter how many pills you took, the movement was that part. And because of in this industry or this profession of chiropractic care, there's a statement that I've heard: a chiropractic extends life, or
adds years to your life and life to your years.
Yes. I mean, and that is so true. There is no on the health side. I've never heard anything come close to being equivalent to that.
Right.
And especially the natural solution. We have the solution right here, the body. Tell me this: what do you see on the horizon? And I think education has helped propel the credibility of chiropractics. Like you said, they've been looked at as charlatans, or this woo, incense and candles, maybe.
That's right.
But I think technology has helped to educate us a lot more on those ways of helping to heal or speed up the process. Yes, a lot of us must take our medication for whatever reason.
Medication has its place.
Yes, it does.
It does.
Yes.
I mean, there's a big, to do right now in terms of the opioid issue in our country, the abuse and everything. But I see chiropractic as you said, it's 122 years old yesterday.
Wow.
And in the 36 years that I have been practicing, to see how our profession has come along just is mind-boggling.
Yeah.
And who knows where this is going to end up. But I guarantee you there will be a greater percentage of the population that are going to turn to professions like chiropractic for their health care in the future.
I agree. And I think too, like you mentioned earlier, the balance, the balance of, because health and fitness without the health, if you can move, you're not going to be able to move, but so long if you don't have that health component.
Yes.
Fitness, we look at our children as being fit because, they move. The grandchildren, you have the blessing of having the grandchildren.
Yes.
But the movement that they have, they're fit. There's not too much they can do, even at their height. There's certain things they'll climb up it if they can't see above it.
That's right.
But the health component, it's still the basis and foundation of the body. You can't, wherever you go, you have the body. And there are times when life won't allow you to have access to the medication or you still have your body, and there needs to be that consciousness, as you said, to go back to self. Because it's funny, as long as I've known, every time I've gone to a doctor, even when I was bringing patients, whether it was Emory or any emergency or Grady, the doctors would always have to ask us or ask the patient, what's the symptoms, what's the problem,
unless it was trauma.
Exactly. And even what you saw wasn't always the whole picture.
Correct.
So the basis of it all comes back to us as individuals to know our bodies and be in tune with our bodies. And I've not found anything closer, and not to plug chiropractic over the medicine field, but I've not found something, and it goes back to that practicality and that reason that speaks so much to who I am as a person. Tell me a little bit. I mean, you've been at this for a long time. Have you thought about the next generation of who comes behind you?
I do. I will probably start looking to bring an associate into my practice next year, and I'm excited to have the opportunity to mentor a young doctor coming out of school. I spent 20 years in a very large practice in Southwest Atlanta, and over those 20 years had an opportunity to work with a lot of young doctors that came out of school, and had an opportunity to mentor those doctors and to see them today doing very well for themselves in their own practices is very rewarding. And so I hope to be able to duplicate that in my practice starting next year.
As an authority and an influencer in this industry and profession, of course, you had mentors as well, I'm sure, for you to even, have that burn to think about the next generation. And I'm 50 now, and I see the value, not so much of, this is the downside of negative, but these are the most wealthy and richest moments of my life. I have so much to share as far as experiences and of course our failures, where we learn the most. Tell me about some of the mentors that you had coming up and how they influenced you to be the influencer that you are today in this industry.
Number one, I would say it has to start with my dad. I was fortunate to have him as a good role model. When I was in my last couple of quarters in chiropractic school, I was scared to death. I didn't know what I was going to do once I graduated. Mm-hmm. And I was fortunate enough to get introduced to a gentleman here in Atlanta by the name of Eugene Sparlin. And Dr. Sparlin basically took a risk in bringing me into his practice. And I'm very grateful that he did, and had 20 amazing years with him. The gentleman that treated my dad, who became good friends with my father. His name was Dr. Sid Nathanson. And Dr. Nathanson had a big impact on me in terms of introducing me to the profession. Because before that, I really didn't know anything about chiropractic. And then, he kind of whetted my appetite, and I started researching and finding out more about what chiropractic is. And it seemed to align with my philosophies as how I looked at health and so forth. And so for those individuals have had, huge impacts on my life today.
Awesome. The name of your center is Alpharetta Back and Neck Center. Tell me a little bit why the focal was it just the branding, or was there a reason that you wanted to promote or project the back and neck?
Well, that is what I do.
It's that simple. In that
it's that simple. 80% of the population will have back trouble at some point in their life. And there's no one that's better qualified to handle those conditions other than a chiropractor. If a condition has gotten too far in terms of degenerative changes and so forth, then obviously they need an orthopedic to address those situations, or even a neurosurgeon. But many times, if patients will address these issues early in life, then bigger problems can be avoided down the road. And so when we look at both back and neck conditions, I thought that name would just cover everything. A good example is a lady who came here from Israel 3 years ago, and she has neck and arm pain going down her arm, radiating, and she's had it for 6 months. And I asked her yesterday when she came in, what prompted you to pick up the phone and make an appointment now? Why not 6 months ago? Well, 6 months ago, it was just a nagging pain.
Yeah.
But in the last few days, she hadn't been able to sleep because the pain had become so severe for her.
Yeah.
And that's what we see a lot of times. When pain starts to interfere with a person's daily activities, they know they've got a serious problem, and they're ready to start dealing with it.
It's interesting that we adapt so much, and we have that optimism of, and tolerance. And I would say one of the reasons why it's different for women, they have a greater threshold and tolerance.
They seem to, don't they?
Oh, I mean, that's how we, if it was up to us for the birthing part, I don't think we'd be like Braveheart, freedom and just take me, because I mean, as strong as we are, I don't know that we were built for that much pain at one time. We're ready off it. But it's interesting on how we're adapted. The body is very amazing. And I would imagine in your study of the body and the bodies that you've engaged and seen, how much of a beating that it can take and still move forward and heal itself. Tell the audience how we can get in touch with you. What is there a 1-800 number? We'll have this in the show notes, but I'd like to make sure that we take time to make sure that the audience can get in touch with you and possibly reach out, and if they have any questions. You have a very informative site, but tell us how we could.
Absolutely. They can call my office at 678-879-4242. I'm located in Alpharetta, Georgia, off of exit 10, which is Old Milton Parkway. I also have a website. It's www.drjdivagno.com. So any way they are able to reach me, and we look forward to hearing from your audience.
Awesome. Well, I'd like to close with a question I often ask. It's intriguing to hear the responses, but tell me what you would tell a 20-year younger Jay Divagno in this business 20 years ago.
Don't change anything.
Keep
on keeping on.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dr. J. And I look forward. I think there's going to be another chapter of this for you.
Great. Thanks again for having me.
You've been listening to Business Authority Radio with Neil Howe and Greg Williams. To learn more about the resources mentioned in today's show or to listen to past episodes, visit businessauthorityradio.com.